Welcome back to another video, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. Now in today's video, if you've seen the thumbnail, we're going to do something a bit different. If you remember when the Hyper-Rex Cannon, the Hyper-Rex Survive Pillar Chase 2 video, we're doing something similar to that, but with higher stakes. In this video, we are doing the Spinosaurus from the Jurassic franchise, running the fade with Peter Jackson's 2005 Skull Island. Now let's first cover some of the Spinosaurus' feats, and for most of the time I might refer to the Spino as the fan name Snog. Anywho, now Snog has a variety of feats from the JP3 to CC, which we're counting in overall scale here. Now in JP3, the Spinosaurus is able to take bites from dinosaurs like Bull, and since he's a T-Rex and there's estimates of the T-Rex having a 3.5 bite force, by power scaling we can get this to at least a large building level of durability, and since durability it connects with AP. And also just feats alone, if we're not using power scaling, Snog is able to again withstand Bull's bite and kill Bull, break through metal fences, and being hit by a plane, and still be able to survive this. Also being shot by those guns that were able to like explode a plane, if I remember correctly. But let's move on to Count Cretaceous. Now Count Cretaceous Spinosaur is an even stronger and more durable Spino, and for a T-Rex, aka Big Edie, he was even more powerful than the likes of Bull. Big Edie has been known to be sort of comparable to Rexy sometimes, although has been definitely outright stated to be below Rexy, but her bite and things are still comparable in some sense. And Snog was able to take a massive amount of bites from Big Edie, and from some calcs in power scaling, which I'll show up on the screen, is clearly the Rexia's bite force that can get up to city block levels of AP, so you could possibly get CC Snog to low city blocks since he was able to tank these bites. For feats alone, being able to take a stronger T-Rex in a fight is impressive. Also being able to smash boulders like nothing. This Spinosaur is definitely a bit stronger than the JP3 counterpart, but that just means he'll be able to do any feat that the JP3 Spino could do, but just better. So now that we covered a little bit of Snog's feats, how about we start the run? So now let's begin the run. Now first, when Snog enters the island, there are a lot of creatures that Snog could encounter. Obviously I think Snog would easily pass any small dangerous fauna or anything small, like any small herbivores or little creatures that don't really pose much of a threat. I mean, I think like those bat things there's those bat-like creatures that we'll see in the movie and in the game. And yes, the game isn't canon, but we'll be using the game for some representational feats of different like hypothetical dinos and that. But those bat creatures, I'm sorry, they're just getting one tap. They can't really do much. But what about the Ventosaurs or those raptor things? Now, they are clearly very fast and somewhat intelligent to create a stampede, but other than that, they're not that smart. I would probably compare them to Snog. I mean, Snog has things saying how he's dumber than a T-Rex, and his IQ wouldn't really increase in Count Cretaceous, so the IQ really isn't playing a role between these two. And Snog's durability and strength is just too much for these smaller raptors to even handle. And they can't really do much. I mean, the best feat of these raptors in like the game is I think two of them, or maybe one, was able to contend with the juvenile V-Rex, but I think he was still inferior in many ways, and can be killed with spears, and are really inferior to Kong. So, to be brutally honest, I think Snog would just wipe out any small predator quite easily. So the sauropods are probably a main food source for Snog. If you really have to think about it, they don't really defend themselves even from those small little creatures. They were accidentally killing them. And Snog is definitely a lot more aggressive and more powerful than them. I feel like he would definitely be able to take down one sauropod by himself easily. Now, obviously, what about the first animal that can probably, stand somewhat of a chance, which is the Ferrodicus, or whatever. It's like that ceratopsian in the movie. Now this herbivore can weigh up to 16 tons, which is actually the first dinosaur that is going to fight Snock and outweigh him in the same table. Since Snock has estimates from 8 to 10 to even 20, but the 20 tons are more just overestimates and they aren't really consistent, but the more consistent weight is about 10 tons. But this Ceratopsian outweighs him. Yes, although Snock might be outweighed, this does not mean he's not inferior to this Ceratopsian. I mean, the herbivore was killed by a flurry of bullets, and Snock has been able to tank stronger man-made weapons and shrug them off in a weaker version of himself. So it wouldn't really do anything to him, to be brutally honest. So Snock would pass. But is there anything so far on this island that can even challenge Snock? Other than so far everything's just quite inferior and Snock is passed quite easily. Anything like the little Spinosaurus, or they don't really stand much of a chance. But what about the Queen Bat, or Big Bat? However you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. That giant fly. It takes its appearance in the game and you can guess that it was probably on the island. Now this creature is quite big. It has a massive wingspan and is sort of comparable size to Kong. But in the game, we get to see that Kong is very much more powerful than this bat. And it's been shown to be quite dumb as it attempts the same fly and hit strategy, but Kong can just counter it easily, or it can just be grabbed and snapped its spine or whatever he did there. And Snock really has strength that can measure up to destroying buildings. So I feel like Snock would just, all it takes is one hit, and this bat is completely cooked. So the Queen Bat creatures, those massive ones, they're not standing a chance either. But who's next? Then there are these worm-like monsters in Kong's lair in the game as well. But they get one tap by Kong alone. And they're like the Big Bat. They're quite inferior to Kong in every way. And I feel like Snock would also be able to pass with relative ease, you know? But can he survive against the king or the main apex predator of the water? And what I'm talking about is the Pteranodon. See, the Pteranodon can swim very good, and yeah, that's his main strat coming here. The Pteranodon is big, but I don't think it has any massive size estimates. I'm pretty sure it's not even that heavy, and it might max out at 3 tons, where Snock can get to 10. And its main thing, yes, it has big teeth and sharp teeth, or whatever you want to say, but other than that, it's not really that impressive. It can break poorly made rafts, but its bite can't even break some tree roots. It's definitely will be able to outmaneuver Snock in the water, since Snock is still semi-aquatic and still can move well in the water, but this creature is fully aquatic and is in a whole new level of being in the water. It's quite agile in the water, but again, like with the Big Bat, it takes one bite and this Pteranodon is now just sushi. That's literally it. And yes, so far the Pteranodon is the biggest threat Snock would face. So far though, Snock has right now low to mid diff to everything on the island, and mid is at max. But what about we introduce the apex predator of the island? Now I'm introducing the one, the only, V-Rex, okay? We all know what it is. We've all seen him, all heard of it, and we've all seen edits of downplaying or glazing, whatever you want to say. Now there are 2 types of the V-Rex. There are the inbred ones, which are shown in the movie, and to say Kong literally solos all 3 while having a gale in his hand for most of the fight. So I feel like Snock again would probably pass against these guys way easier, since they don't have many good feats. But what about the normal ones? The natural V-Rex, the actual apex predators of the island. Again, they could also group up. But can these V-Rexes honestly kill Snock? Would they be able to even do this? Well, the normal V-Rexes can smash through massive stone pillars and break through small bridges, and are quite fast and agile since there is a clear bone. Their hip bone has a big gap between the ribs, allowing them to make fast turns quite quickly. And these V-Rexes are definitely a lot more strong and more intelligent compared to the inbred V-Rexes. But again, even these normal V-Rexes, I'd say they're similar IQ to Snock. They're not really doing much like the Indominus Rex, but other than that, that's it. But the V-Rex has been sort of said to act an evolved T-Rex. So you could try use the whole, it might have the same bite force as a Rex, IRL Rex, which in power scaling can get to like building to high, big building, whatever. But other than that, you can't really like estimate it, because I don't think right now there's any like proof saying that the V-Rexes are just evolved Rexes and have the same bite force. So you can't just guess that. You have to guess on their performances. Now, natural V-Rexes are actually able to keep up with Kong a lot better than the inbred ones, and actually can be a fight and challenge at times, which is quite surprising. So this is going to be one of Snock's hardest challenges, right? Well, there's one thing we gotta remember. Snock was stated to hunt Rexes. Now, since the V-Rexes are the closest thing to a Rex, Snock will kinda have the starting advantage knowing what to do and how to take advantage of them. Since obviously after JP3 and since CC was mostly mind controlled, we could assume Snock might go for the neck break against these Rexes. And these Rexes have been shown that they can't really do much with their arms, clearly. And Kong has been able to kill them again with either breaking their back or breaking their jaws. And in power scaling wise, Kong has a strength of up to building level. So I think Snock would definitely be able to perform a feat on killing one of these V-Rexes. A group of natural V-Rexes would be still challenging for Snock, but I think Snock definitely has the feat and power just to overthrow these predators. Now, I'm not saying Snock would be able to throw these V-Rexes around, but that is just not happening. These V-Rexes outweigh Snock by a long way. So there's no way Snock would be able to throw them around, while Snock definitely has a better striking strength than AP, and his durability is so much better. So the V-Rexes technically wouldn't be able to damage Snock really that badly, while Snock could definitely damage them quite easily. So right now, Snock is the apex predator of Skull Island, that easy. But can Snock fight the 8th wonder of the world? Now, Snock, obviously, he has been able to surpass everything through the island, going through the marshes and swamps and forests. Anything that has gone up against him has met its fate. Maybe after Snock has fed on a V-Rex, he hears something in the distance. It's Kong, King of Skull Island. Now, how will this work? Well, Kong has a lot of feats. He's able to keep with a car that can go up to like 60 miles per hour, and he's able to sort of react to planes that were going past him and catch one, and they have like 100 miles per hour speed, so in power scaling grants some like subsonic levels of reaction timing or whatever. So Kong is definitely way faster than Snock. Snock will definitely not be able to keep up with Kong in terms of speed. And Kong's AP and durability, again, like I said, he's able to fight and kill natural to inbred V-Rexes, and is stated to also be the mightiest and strongest creature to walk the earth, meaning that puts Kong above the likes of blue whales. So right now, Kong is quite a challenge, obviously, and since Snock has been able to be put above literally everything in the island so far, Kong is the only thing that could stand in Snock's way. So who wins? The King of Skull Island, or Snock the Spinosaurus, the T-Rex killer? Now that we put these two T-Rex killers together, well, let's put it, in a power scaling perspective, Snock would definitely win with quite easy. But in logic, it's a bit closer. Thanks to Kong's agility and him to adapt to terrain so much better, he'll be able to outmaneuver Snock like the Pteranodon did, but even better, like by a long shot. But Snock does have the strength, AP, and durability advantage. In my opinion, after a decent and good fight between these two mighty beasts, I feel like the Spinosaurus would win. Now the Spinosaurus vs Kong would be a hard fight for sure, but I believe Snock has what it takes to defeat the King of Skull Island. And by the end of this, we can calculate the highest chance equals to not only Snock surviving, but becoming the newfound King of Skull Island. Now thank you for watching this video, and this was a little rushed in some parts, so if there's anything you want me to explain on, I might make a community post about it. But for now, the real T-Rex killer has been shown. Thanks for watching, and remember, subscribe.